What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Fortnite's new Simpsons season. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Comment down below what you think of the new Simpsons season, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is Evolved Jake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So for starters, we're going to be going over the loot pool because this loot pool is entirely different from last season. For assault rifles, we have the Striker AR. This is a returning item from Chapter 5, but it has been completely reworked. It no longer has attachment slots that you can fill by visiting a mod bench. Instead, it just comes with the angled foregrip, which makes it to where you aim down sights faster, so it's really not that valuable of an attachment in Fortnite. And it is also now hit scan, meaning you don't have to worry about bullet drop, you don't have to worry about bullet travel time. They completely reworked the item. The suppressed scar is also in this class. And then finally, we have the infantry rifle. My two favorites for this style of weapon is definitely going to be the suppressed scar and the infantry rifle. Both of these are a lot more accurate than the Striker AR is. The Striker AR is more of like a close to medium range AR. Think of it more like the collateral damage AR from Chapter 6 Season 2, where it's like an AR SMG hybrid, but at longer ranges, you're not really going to fare very well against the suppressed scar or the infantry rifle. The Striker AR still can be quite good, and a lot of people are going to like it in their loadout if they're using the pistol, which we'll kind of get to later on in the video. But my personal favorite thus far has been the suppressed scar. The infantry rifle has basically no bloom, and it is now actually fully automatic, so you can just hold down the fire button with this infantry rifle. I think a lot of people are really going to like it. For shotguns, we have the Thunder shotgun, the tactical shotgun, and the Ranger shotgun. The personal two favorites I have here is going to be the Thunder shotgun and the Tac shotgun. Unfortunately, it seems like the tactical shotgun is going to be the preferred choice for most players. Like, the season is only a few days, or not even a full day in yet. But I've seen a lot of people like really liking the tactical shotgun, and most of my best games have been using it. So it seems like it could be, you know, the Tac auto shotgun meta returning. The Thunder shotgun is still good, but it's kind of clunky, and it requires you to use a spray weapon, which you might not always want to do. And the slower handling and slower reload of the Thunder shotgun typically wasn't a big problem for me in Battle Royale when we had it in Chapter 4 Season 1, but the pacing of this Simpsons season can be incredibly fast because the map is smaller, and third parties are very prevalent, so the Thunder shotgun can sometimes be a problem. For SMGs, we have the compact SMG and the machine pistol. I much prefer the compact SMG in this role, and I haven't really consistently used SMGs in Fortnite probably since Chapter 5 with the Thunderburst SMG, but I was actually enjoying using the compact SMG a lot so far. It could just be because the season is new and things kind of always play out a bit weird and a bit awkward when everyone's new to the season, but I had a lot of fights where I was able just to fry people with this SMG, where they were in a weird like kind of intermediate range that wasn't quite shotgun, wasn't quite AR. It worked perfectly there. And using the Tac shotgun, it doesn't have the greatest range. And so having the SMG for those fights was really nice, but I don't know if it's going to be something that I continue to use throughout the entire season. For pistols, we have the suppressed pistol and the Mr. Blasty. The suppressed pistol, I'm sure a lot of you are used to because it's been in the game recently, but the Mr. Blasty is a new revolver weapon, and this is most comparable, I would say, to the infantry rifle. It's a slow fire rate, hard-hitting weapon, and this is going to be a lot of people's favorite weapon this season. It's incredibly good. The range on it is very good. The accuracy on it is good. The damage is incredible. The hip fire on it is incredible. So if you kind of like shockwave onto somebody and then shoot this from the air, it can work out pretty good. And this is why I was saying that even though the Striker AR isn't the most accurate and isn't the best AR for long range, a lot of people will probably like it in a setup that's something like shotgun, Striker AR, and then Mr. Blasty. I think that could work out pretty well, because if you're going to be using this for your ranged weapon anyways, you don't quite need the suppressed scar, you don't quite need the infantry rifle. So the Mr. Blasty, I think, is, as I said, it's going to be a lot of people's favorite weapon this season, and it is very impactful to the game and the way the game plays. It is very good. For movement items, we have shockwaves and the blinky fish. Shockwaves work how they always do. And then the blinky fish gives you dashes after you use it for a period of time. It gives you a little bit of white health as well. But the main reason to use this is just going to be those dashes. And instead of giving you a set amount of dashes, I believe you just get dashes for 30 seconds while you're under the effect of the fish. So you can spam those dashes a lot. One kind of negative compared to the dashes we had with like the Grim Gatewater or the Cerberus Medallion is these dashes don't actually negate fall damage. You can cause yourself fall damage using these dashes. So that is something you need to keep in mind. But this is just an incredible thing to have active in a fight. It's not always the best thing that you want to carry, but there's certain moments where activating this will be like make or break for your game. So if you do come across it, you know, in the end game or you have a free slot, using this is something that I think a lot of people are going to like, and it is very difficult to deal with on the playing end. For our cover items, we have the Porta Bunker and Bush Bombs. Both of these are returning items, and I'm sure a lot of you have played with them. But I think the bushes and the big bush bombs are a lot better this season than normal. With the regular Fortnite art style, I feel like it was easier to kind of see players through the bushes. Like, it wasn't always consistent that you would easily see through people through the bushes, but there's those times where you would see like a piece of them showing or a little bit of them, and it would give away their location and make it to where you could beam them through the bush. These Simpsons bushes with like this season's art style, I think are much more difficult to play against, and fighting in and around them was also more disorienting. So I think you need to respect bushes a lot more this season. They're difficult to deal with. Like, using these bush bombs is going to be a strategy that a lot of people take advantage of this season, I think, because as I said, they are very good, and there's not as much mobility items this season. That may change as time goes on, but I feel like with less mobility in the game, people end up using these cover items a bit more. For heals, we have a lot of these standard healing items that you're used to. We have bandages, medkits, minis, bigs, chug splash, chug jug, floppers, shieldfish, you know, the produce items. But we also have a few new healing items as well. There's the slushy healing item, which gives you 25 health or shield, and it also gives you unlimited stamina for a period of time, and a low gravity effect with fall damage immunity when you have this active. So one thing that a lot of people have liked to do already is to combo the Blinky Fish with the Slushy. That way you're immune to fall damage. Your dashes send you even further, and you're just moving and traveling around really fast. So that is a movement combo that a lot of people have kind of like hyped up on social media already. I'm not really sure if it's worth 2 inventory slots, but you know, if you happen across the items and you're not going to carry them anyways, then that combo can be pretty good. We also have the burgers, which gives you 30 shield and 15 white health over time. And I have been told that this stacks. So if you just pop several burgers at once, you're going to be regenerating shield and regenerating white health incredibly fast during the course of a fight. It'll be kind of comparable to like the legendary slurp juice endgame. So in the endgame, having these burgers going into the final 1v1 could be, you know, one of the best healing items to have. That way you are actively regenerating health over time. One of the more unique, interesting items we have in this season is going to be the Jebediah head. You can get this from a statue at the Simpsons Town Square. And what this does, if you have it in your inventory, is it negates 1 shot worth of headshot damage. So if you have this Jebediah head on and the enemy shoots you with a shotgun in the head, you won't actually take damage from that shot. Instead, it will knock the Jebediah head off your character, and then you'll just have to pick it up again after the fight. So you just, as I said, you negate 1 shot worth of headshot damage. It does take an inventory slot, and it does also mark you on the map similar to medallions. So if the head is just sitting on the ground, you can see exactly where it is. But if a player has this in their inventory, you'll see a little gold circle around them. So it does advertise their location. It does give them away. But negating 1 shot worth of headshot damage can be like very make or break in a shotgun fight. If it's like a medium range AR fight, it's not that big of a deal. But if we're fighting and you're using a thunder shotgun or using the ranger shotgun and you just kind of waste your shot shooting this head off my character, that is a huge advantage in the fight for me. So I'm not too sure what my preferred loadout is this season and if I would like to carry it. A lot of people have been hyping this up as overpowered, but I think marking yourself on the map and taking an inventory slot is a significant downgrade. And if I'm having to play against somebody using this, I'm just going to make sure that I get the head taken off with either like my AR or my SMG damage. I don't really want to put a shotgun shot towards, you know, removing that head off the character, because shotguns typically have lower fire rate, lower mag capacity, so wasting that shot is more detrimental there. So if you're fighting somebody with the head, try to get early tags on the mid-range, try to break it off at that point, and then push in with your shocks and eliminate them that way. Forecast is also returning this season, so I believe in second zone these towers will be marked, and they function exactly as they did before, where you eliminate the guards, you put the card into the thing, and then you get to see zone reveal for the remainder of the game. And the main boss guard that has the key card will drop a purple assault rifle. So that might be something that you want to go for just for that on its own, and not even necessarily just the forecast itself. But obviously forecast is good, and with how the mid to late game is played this season, some games really stall out, and having that forecast can be really, really beneficial. We have 2 mythic weapons and an exotic weapon this season that are pretty good. So the way the mythics work is kind of interesting this season. In first, second, and third zone, like each zone, a boss will spawn at a random location, and you need to be within 100 meters of that location to even see them on the map. So it's not like you need to go to a certain POI to get the boss every game. It's just random where they'll spawn, and then one spawns in for first, second, and third zone. If you eliminate Homer, he will drop the Mythic Tactical Shotgun. If you eliminate Marge, she will drop the Mythic Compact SMG. And then Krusty will drop the exotic Mr. Blasty. And what the exotic Mr. Blasty does is at the first shot of its magazine will deploy a balloon on whoever it hits. And it seems like you don't even need to directly hit the enemy with this. You can just kind of hit around them, and it will attach a balloon to them and kind of launch them into the sky. And this will kind of set them up to get beamed by you. And you can also use this as movement on yourself if you want to like kind of travel with the balloons. You just shoot it at the ground and then you'll go. It kind of gives you like a somewhat of a pseudo shockwave effect as well. So you get some momentum along with the balloon. And that's why you can launch enemies away with it. You can hit cars with it. And as I kind of already touched on, this pistol in of itself is very good. So if you launch someone into the sky with the balloons, you can just start unloading on them with the revolver, and they can go down incredibly quickly that way. And since you don't need to directly hit them, you can kind of cheese it on people who are behind cover sometimes if they're in the area of effect of the balloon. But as I said, it's only on the first shot from the weapons magazine, and like you have to reload to get another one. And the balloons, since they give you a shockwave effect, you don't actually take fall damage with the balloon. So it's not like you could attach the balloon to somebody and then just shoot the balloon out to kill them with fall damage. And if you get the balloon attached to you, you could just detach. You don't have to worry about fall damage. So this is an interesting weapon. It's a very powerful weapon, probably the most overpowered, most sought after weapon in the game is going to be the exotic Krusty Mr. Blasty. And as I said, you get that from Krusty the Clown. There are also some mini quests that you can get from chests. Sometimes when you open a chest, like an item will pop out that's not like a weapon or a heal. And if you do these quests, you will get heals. Some of these take, or not heals, sorry, you get better loot and stuff. So some of these take a good amount of time to complete, and some of them are pretty easy. Like I had this one here that just required me to find produce. And then once I got this tomato, I ended up getting some decent loot out of it, especially for that point in the game. This isn't something that I would really actively go for, especially in like the mid to late game. But in the early game, getting some of that extra loot can be really helpful for you. And as I said, some of it isn't that difficult to do. So I might pick these up. And if it happens naturally and it happens easily, I'm cool with that. But I'm not going to go super far out of my way to try to make sure I make these mini quests happen. And there are also these new gift boxes around the map, which I think just take the place of a chest. But they give you typically high rarity loot, and I think they give you like double heal or utility. So getting these is a great source of heals, and it's a great source of like getting shockwaves as well. I feel like I find a lot of my shockwaves just from opening up the gift boxes. But that's kind of the main overview for this season. The loot pool is interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but my favorite setup thus far has kind of just been like the suppressed scar, the tactical shotgun, the SMG, or the pistol, kind of just depending on how I'm feeling, heals, and then shockwaves. This season is weird because the map is much smaller than usual. And to somewhat compensate for that, Fortnite made it to where there's only 80 players per game. And you would think that just kind of leads to shorter, quicker matches. But in reality, I feel like that just makes the early game very chaotic. And then the mid to late game is very kind of like dead and drawn out. I think one of the biggest problems Fortnite has had over the past like few years has just been the mid to late game is very dead and very slow. And I was hoping this season would just have like faster zones to make that happen. But the zones and like the time of the match seems relatively similar to how it was in the past, and you get into a lot of like stalematey end games where there might just be like one or two other players in like a very large zone. So that's something that you really have to play around the pace of, and I feel like third parties are very rampant this season, not only because the early game is very chaotic, but I've had games where like I'm in the mid to late game, there's like 5 people up, and then just like I fight one person and then I'm chain third partied until the end of the game. So I think having mobility is essential, and being ready to reposition and reset after a fight is also like very essential this season because of how prevalent those third parties are. And I think that's just like a product of the pacing of the game this season and like the size of the map. As always, in zero build, cars are incredibly good to travel around the map and then also kind of provide you with some mobile cover. So making sure you have a car in like the mid to late game is also really helpful. But that is going to be it for this overview of the season. I'm sorry it's coming out later than I would like. Yesterday, the servers and kind of logging in was all broken, so I wasn't able to make the video yesterday. But let me know what you guys think of the Simpsons season down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, found it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.